60. Governing a great state is like cooking small fish. Let the kingdom be governed according to the Tao. And the manes of the departed will not manifest their spiritual energy. It is not that those manes have not that spiritual energy, but it will not be employed to hurt men. It is not that it could not hurt men, but neither does the ruling sage hurt them. When these two do not injuriously affect each other, their good influences converge in the virtue of the Tao. 61. What makes a great state is its being like a low-lying, down-flowing stream. It becomes the center to which tend all the small states under heaven. To illustrate from the case of all females, the female always overcomes the male by her stillness. Stillness may be considered a sort of abasement. Thus it is that a great state, by condescending to small states, gains them for itself, and that small states, by abasing themselves to a great state, win it over to them. In the one case the abasement leads to gaining adherence, in the other case to procuring favor. The great state only wishes to unite men together and nourish them. A small state only wishes to be received by and to serve the other. Each gets what it desires, but the great state must learn to abase itself. 62. Tao has of all things the most honored place. No treasures give good men so rich a grace. Bad men it guards, and doth their ill efface. Its admirable words can purchase honor. Its admirable deeds can raise their performer above others. Even men who are not good are not abandoned by it. Therefore, when the sovereign occupies his place as the Son of Heaven, and he has appointed his 3 ducal ministers, though a prince were to send in a round symbol of rank, large enough to fill both the hands, and that as the precursor of the team of horses in the courtyard, such an offering would not be equal to a lesson of this Tao, which one might present on his knees. Why was it that the ancients prized this Tao so much? Was it not because it could be got by seeking for it, and the guilty could escape from the stain of their guilt by it? This is the reason why all under heaven consider it the most valuable thing. 63. It is the way of the Tao to act without thinking of acting, to conduct affairs without feeling the trouble of them, to taste without discerning any flavor, to consider what is small as great, and a few as many, and to recompense injury with kindness. The master of it anticipates things that are difficult while they are easy, and does things that would become great while they are small. All difficult things in the world are sure to arise from a previous state, in which they were easy, and all great things from one, in which they were small. Therefore the sage, while he never does what is great, is able on that account to accomplish the greatest things. He who lightly promises is sure to keep but little faith. He who is continually thinking things easy is sure to find them difficult. Therefore the sage sees difficulty, even in what seems easy, and so never has any difficulties. 64. That which is at rest is easily kept hold of. Before a thing has given indications of its presence, it is easy to take measures against it. That which is brittle is easily broken. That which is very small is easily dispersed. Action should be taken before a thing has made its appearance. Order should be secured before disorder has begun. The tree which fills the alms grew from the tiniest sprout. The tower of 9 stories rose from a small heap of earth. The journey of 1,000 li commenced with a single step. He who acts with an ulterior purpose does harm. He who takes hold of a thing in the same way loses his hold. The sage does not act so, and therefore does no harm. He does not lay hold so, and therefore does not lose his bold. But people in their conduct of affairs are constantly ruining them when they are on the eve of success. If they were careful at the end, as they should be at the beginning, they would not so ruin them. Therefore, the sage desires what other men do not desire, and does not prize things difficult to get. He learns what other men do not learn, and turns back to what the multitude of men have passed by. Thus he helps the natural development of all things, and does not dare to act with an ulterior purpose of his own. 65. The ancients who showed their skill in practicing the Tao did so, not to enlighten the people, but rather to make them simple and ignorant. The difficulty in governing the people arises from their having much knowledge. He who tries to govern a state by his wisdom is a scourge to it, while he who does not try to do so is a blessing. He who knows these two things finds in them also his model and rule. Ability to know this model and rule constitutes what we call the mysterious excellence of a governor. Deep and far-reaching is such mysterious excellence, showing indeed its possessor as opposite to others, but leading them to a great conformity to him. 66. That whereby the rivers and seas are able to receive the homage and tribute of all the valley streams, is their skill in being lower than they. It is thus that they are the kings of them all. So it is that the sage ruler, wishing to be above men, puts himself by his words below them. and, wishing to be before them, places his person behind them. In this way, though he has his place above them, men do not feel his weight, nor though he has his place before them, do they feel it an injury to them. Therefore all in the world delight to exalt him, and do not weary of him, because he does not strive. No one finds it possible to strive with him. 67. All the world says that, while my Tao is great, it yet appears to be inferior to other systems of teaching. Now it is just its greatness that makes it seem to be inferior. If it were like any other system, for long would its smallness have been known. But I have three precious things, which I prize and hold fast. The first is gentleness. The second is economy. And the third is shrinking from taking precedence of others. With that gentleness I can be bold. With that economy I can be liberal. Shrinking from taking precedence of others, I can become a vessel of the highest honor. Nowadays they give up gentleness, and are all for being bold. Economy, and are all for being liberal. The hindmost place, and seek only to be foremost, of all which the end is death. Gentleness is sure to be victorious even in battle, and firmly to maintain its ground. Heaven will save its possessor, by his very gentleness protecting him. 68. He who endows wars as skill assumes no martial port. He who fights with most goodwill to rage makes no resort. He who vanquishes yet still keeps from his foes apart. He whose hest men most fulfill yet humbly plays his art. Thus we say, he ne'er contends, and therein is his might. Thus we say, men's wills he bends, that they with him unite. Thus we say, like heaven's his ends, no sage of old more bright. 69. A master of the art of war has said, I do not dare to be the host, to commence the war. I prefer to be the guest, to act on the defensive. I do not dare to advance an inch. I prefer to retire a foot. This is called marshalling the ranks, where there are no ranks. Bearing the arms to fight, where there are no arms to bear. Grasping the weapon, where there is no weapon to grasp. Advancing against the enemy, where there is no enemy. There is no calamity greater than lightly engaging in war. To do that is near losing the gentleness, which is so precious. Thus it is that when opposing weapons are actually crossed, he who deplores the situation conquers. 70. My words are very easy to know. and very easy to practice. But there is no one in the world who is able to know and able to practice them. There is an originating and all-comprehending principle in my words, and an authoritative law for the things which I enforce. It is because they do not know these that men do not know me. They who know me are few, and I am on that account the more to be prized. It is thus that the sage wears a poor garb of haircloth, while he carries his signet of jade in his bosom. 71. To know and yet think we do not know is the highest attainment. Not to know and yet think we do know is a disease. It is simply by being pained at the thought of having this disease that we are preserved from it. The sage has not the disease. He knows the pain that would be inseparable from it, and therefore he does not have it. 72. When the people do not fear what they ought to fear, that which is their great dread will come on them. Let them not thoughtlessly indulge themselves in their ordinary life. Let them not act as if weary of what that life depends on. It is by avoiding such indulgence that such weariness does not arise. Therefore the sage knows these things of himself, but does not parade his knowledge. Loves, but does not appear to set a value on himself. And thus he puts the latter alternative away, and makes choice of the former. 73. He whose boldness appears in his daring to do wrong, in defiance of the laws, is put to death. He whose boldness appears in his not daring to do so, lives on. Of these two cases, the one appears to be advantageous, and the other to be injurious. But when heaven's anger smites a man, who the cause shall truly scan, on this account, the sage feels a difficulty as to what to do in the former case. It is the way of heaven not to strive, and yet it skillfully overcomes. Not to speak, and yet it is skillful in obtaining a reply. Does not call, and yet men come to it of themselves. Its demonstrations are quiet, and yet its plans are skillful and effective. The meshes of the net of heaven are large, far apart, but letting nothing escape. 74. The people do not fear death. To what purpose is it to try to frighten them with death? If the people were always in awe of death, and I could always seize those who do wrong and put them to death, who would dare to do wrong? There is always one who presides over the infliction death. He who would inflict death in the room of him who so presides over it may be described as hewing wood instead of a great carpenter. Seldom is it that he who undertakes the hewing instead of the great carpenter, does not cut his own hands. 75. The people suffer from famine because of the multitude of taxes consumed by their superiors. It is through this that they suffer famine. The people are difficult to govern because of the excessive agency of their superiors in governing them. It is through this that they are difficult to govern. The people make light of dying because of the greatness of their labors in seeking for the means of living. It is this which makes them think light of dying. Thus it is that to leave the subject of living altogether out of view is better than to set a high value on it. 76. Man at his birth is supple and weak. At his death, firm and strong. So it is with all things. Trees and plants, in their early growth, are soft and brittle. At their death, dry and withered. Thus it is that firmness and strength are the concomitants of death. Softness and weakness, the concomitants of life. Hence he who relies on the strength of his forces does not conquer. And a tree which is strong will fill the outstretched arms, and thereby invites the feller. Therefore the place of what is firm and strong is below, and that of what is soft and weak is above. 77. May not the way or Tao of heaven be compared to the method of bending a bow? The part of the bow which was high is brought low, and what was low is raised up. So heaven diminishes where there is superabundance, and supplements where there is deficiency. It is the way of heaven to diminish superabundance and to supplement deficiency. It is not so with the way of man. He takes away from those who have not enough to add to his own superabundance. Who can take his own superabundance and therewith serve all under heaven? Only he who is in possession of the Tao. Therefore, the ruling sage acts without claiming the results as his. He achieves his merit and does not rest arrogantly in it. He does not wish to display his superiority. 78. There is nothing in the world more soft and weak than water, and yet for attacking things that are firm and strong, there is nothing that can take precedence of it. For there is nothing so effectual for which it can be changed. Everyone in the world knows that the soft overcomes the hard, and the weak the strong. But no one is able to carry it out in practice. Therefore a sage has said, he who accepts his state's reproach is hailed therefore its altar's lord. To him who bears men's direful woes, they all the name of king accord. Words that are strictly true seem to be paradoxical. 79. When a reconciliation is effected between two parties after a great animosity. There is sure to be a grudge remaining in the mind of the one who was wrong. And how can this be beneficial to the other? Therefore, to guard against this, the sage keeps the left-hand portion of the record of the engagement and does not insist on the speedy fulfillment of it by the other party. So, he who has the attributes of the Tao regards only the conditions of the engagement, while he who has not those attributes regards only the conditions favorable to himself. In the way of heaven, there is no partiality of love. It is always on the side of the good man. 80. In a little state with a small population, I would so order it that, though there were individuals with the abilities of 10 or 100 men, there should be no employment of them. I would make the people, while looking on death as a grievous thing, yet not remove elsewhere to avoid it. Though they had boats and carriages, they should have no occasion to ride in them. Though they had buff coats and sharp weapons, they should have no occasion to don or use them. I would make the people return to the use of knotted cords instead of the written characters. They should think their coarse food sweet, their plain clothes beautiful, their poor dwellings places of rest, and their common simple ways sources of enjoyment. There should be a neighboring state within sight, and the voices of the fowls and dogs should be heard all the way from it to us. But I would make the people to old age, even to death, not have any intercourse with it. 81. Sincere words are not fine. Fine words are not sincere. Those who are skilled in the Tao do not dispute about it. The disputatious are not skilled in it. Those who know the Tao are not extensively learned. The extensively learned do not know it. The sage does not accumulate for himself. The more that he expends for others, the more does he possess of his own. The more that he gives to others, the more does he have himself. With all the sharpness of the way of heaven, it injures not. With all the doing in the way of the sage, he does not strive.
At this point, Dao De Jing by Lao Tzu has been completed. Thank you for your company along the way. Please applaud yourself for your persistence in listening. I also hope that you can find inner peace and a happy life by listening to Lao Tzu's wisdom. If you like my videos, please follow, like, and comment. Your support is my motivation to continue. Thank you.